start in the order in which I just introduced them, and then the second question will begin with Hunter, then Drew, then Josh, and we'll proceed like that. So the first question goes to Josh first, then Hunter and Drew. Reforming Fulton County. This is obviously the Fulton County Republican Party. It's something a lot of people are interested in. Should one of you go on to win this seat in November, that would be a big step toward the Republicans taking a majority of the Fulton delegation in the General Assembly. And so the first question is, what are some of the measures, in your view, that the legislature should take to aid in the reform of Fulton County government?
Thanks, Colin. I want to thank the Fulton County GOP for having this event and all of y'all for coming. It is an incredibly important seat. It's one we should pick up, and your involvement in the process is going to make all the difference, not only for this Senate seat, but also the presidential election, and we're going to need everybody's help for both. So thank you for coming. Reforming Fulton County. Here's the good news. For the first time, Republicans will represent the majority of Fulton County in the General Assembly. And what that means is, through local legislation, we can pass bills just by the Fulton County delegation. They get voted on by the full House and Senate, along with about 20, 30 other bills that affect local issues somewhere else. So this isn't something, this is something very new. So when we talk about reforming Fulton County, we're able to do it for the first time. I came out with a very specific plan last month. It debuted at the Buckhead Young Republicans event. What I would do is at least 3 things. There's actually 10, but I've been told I have to talk in threes. Number 1 is support existing legislation that requires Fulton County to do what the Constitution mandates that it do, and not just what it wants to do. In Fulton County, we pay over 10% in millage rates, yet 93% of our citizens live in a city. We're paying more for less. We don't have to look far to see how good government can work when you look across the river and see in Cobb County, where 70% of its citizens live in unincorporated Cobb, they're paying about 6%. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to freeze. Okay, sorry. Freeze the millage rate. Didn't go down from there. I told you there were 10.
Well, again, I want to echo Josh in saying thank you for being here and being a part of this process and for being engaged. Reforming Fulton County is very important, and it's like any government reform. You know, I believe in the 10th Amendment, so I believe that states should reform themselves and have the powers to do the things that they need to do for their state and not be mandated from the federal government. On the Fulton County side, I don't want to get in the way of Fulton County if they have programs and they're trying to reform themselves. So that's how I look at that issue. Now, I would also look at Liz Hausman's plan, for example, is a great plan to reform Fulton County, and she's as Fulton County Commissioner. She's the kind of person that we need to continue to elect to the Fulton County Board of Commissioners. And we need to support her in her efforts to work better in her community, working with the municipal leaders to reform Fulton County and get the message out that we need to elect conservative Republicans to the Fulton County Commission. One thing I would support, though, would be existing legislation that would mandate that Fulton County only provides services that are in line with the Constitution and not to just do whatever they want because they've been wasteful.
Thank y'all for being here. I tell you, this is a real pleasure for me, and I'm grateful to be here to speak to you. The question was asked, reforming Fulton County. Ladies and gentlemen, Fulton County is 82, in 2012, they're running on an $82 million deficit. These are true facts. That's this year. So for me as a business owner, I bring a different stance. I don't run my business on a deficit. So we've got to figure out a way, first of all, to stop the deficit and figure out a way to tackle this budget crisis. You know, one of the problems we have is double dipping. For instance, an individual whose retirement age will retire from the government, and the next thing you know, he wants to work again. So he goes back, and he started back at the exact same pay that he was at his highest level of service. There's no double dipping in my plan. And as a businessman, he needs to start at the base salary. There are several other ways to correct this problem, and as a businessman, I can fix that.
It's my